is up, guys? Welcome to today's live stream. My name is Gladney. If it's your first time here, I'm super pumped and thrilled to have you a part of the stream. I'm so pumped about tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is one I have been on my head to talk about. Once I knew I had gotten all the specs, all the details, all the nitty gritty for the Canon M50 as well as the Canon RP that was literally just released this week, like a couple days, like yesterday. So officially just released yesterday. So on tonight's stream, as well as if you're watching this live or on the replay, thanks for being here. If I don't answer any of your questions or I'm not able to get to you in the time of the stream, please make sure that you leave those comments down below. I would love to continue the conversation, as well as I always get back to my comment section. So shout out to the notification squad. We have Dare to Dream School. Thanks so much for being here. So pumped that you are here. We have Cuddy Cards. Good to be here, or good to see you. Glad that you are here. We got Rob Fuzz in the house, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, me, your wonderful host, Diana Gladney. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with who I am, if it's our first time meeting, I am a small business and video marketing coach. And here on Entree Woman TV, I do small business development training, as well as video marketing tips and talks like we'll be talking about tonight. Get into a little bit of tech talk. So if you're into that kind of content, make sure you consider subscribing. If you are loving the content at any point during the stream, or whether you're watching this on the replay, live or on the replay, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. It gets a little lonely from time to time. So we are going to be jumping right in, but not before I show you this one little thing. I know. An intro during the live stream. Who does that? I do. So super pumped to have you guys here. We're not going to be too long tonight, but like again, whether you're watching this live on the replay, that thing, I'm so pumped to get into tonight's topic. So let's do it. Any questions that you guys have throughout the stream, make sure that you go ahead and post them there. I'll go back through the chat, answer any questions that I can before the time expires. And if I don't get to your question, again, leave it down in the comments and I will get to your question. But otherwise, tonight we're going to be talking about the Canon M50 with the Speedbooster versus the Canon RP. Who is going to reign supreme? Now, if you are already knowing that, I have talked about this camera, I was talking about the rumors. I'm super pumped about this camera. I'm super pumped, thinking like this is going to be it. This is going to be, like you guys know, the bee's knees. Is it going to sit in the pinnacle of the bee's knees Hall of Fame? Well, according to the title, there's 3 reasons why you should get the Canon M50 with the Speedbooster, which, if you're curious, you're looking at it right now. I'm actually streaming from the Canon M50 with the Speedbooster and a 35 millimeter Bokeh-licious lens. So you're looking at what it can produce even on a live stream. And even if this stream was going up to 2 hours, there's a video that I did, and I'll link that up in the YouTube card up above, where I'm able to stream using the USB method and a Mac. So if you're a Mac user, you're good. If you're a PC user, I will pray for you, because I still need to figure out a way to do that. So my apologies in advance. At some point, I'll be able to link it up in the description when I found a PC method of doing this. But otherwise, there's a couple different reasons as to why I feel like this camera is better than the other. Now, I have done over 500 videos that I have shot, recorded, edited, outlined, researched, and uploaded myself. Not all of those videos are live on YouTube. Some of those are courses that I've done for myself, courses I've done for clients, or any video work, and I'm also the head of video at my church. So that being said, I've had plenty of my fair share of cameras, and I bought so many it's ridiculous. But when it comes to doing video for a beginner, for somebody that is new to YouTube, maybe you have a small business or home-based business and you want to start live streaming, you want to start creating YouTube videos, you want to get your message, your brand, and what it is that you're doing more visible, a camera like the Canon RP or the Canon M50, it's, you know, it's like you're either in one price range or another, or, you know, if you have a nonprofit or a business, you can maybe stretch a little bit to like $1,200 or $1,300. And at some point it'll be used and come in at a cheaper price. So, you know, you have a little wiggle room. At right now, according to the time frame of this video, you can get a Canon M50 for about $579 used. Better on eBay, of course, but then you can get it brand new with the lens and all that for up to $699. So somewhere between that price range, you can get a camera that's reasonably affordable. However, when you talk about the video specs and you're like, well, what's wrong with it? It's full frame. What could be wrong with it? Well, let's talk about it. But not to be on a negative tip, let's get into a few positives. So the Canon RP, let's get into some of the positives. So let's just go straight down the line. If you're not familiar with video specs, these will become more clear as we move further into the stream, but otherwise, this is what we have thus far. So the Canon RP, it has, so Canon RP positive video specs are going to be 4K video capable. It's capable. It can do it, but it's not the best, but it can do it. So you can get 1080p, 60 frames per second, and 30 frames per second. That means you can do some slow motion with 60 frames per second, and you can do just regular, like you would see on a soap opera or whatever, just regular TV, 30 frames per second. Then you have the USB-C internal charging. That's awesome, which I'm super pumped and excited about that, because that means if for a $1,300 camera, if they're putting it in this camera body, every other camera that comes out should have it at least this price point or slightly higher. Hopefully, you know, if they make anything after the M50 in this lineup, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll get some of that. But headphone jack, I've been waiting for a headphone jack from Canon. So that's there. Then you have clean HDMI. And so when I'm saying that it's a clean HDMI, I'm saying that this video stream that you're looking at right now, it has the ability to be in or out of focus. So out of focus meaning, like, if I was in manual, I would get blurry instantly. With it having autofocus, I can do something like this here and it go into and out of focus on that thing. Now, natively, the Canon M50 can't do that. We'll get into that spec a little bit later, but there's no items of, you know, what frames per second and none of that camera stuff is on the screen. You're just seeing me and whatever else I want. This is not natively in the camera. There's, you know, some little hacks you got to do with that. So that's what I mean by clean HDMI. Then you have where it is an awesome quality lens lineup. The RF lenses that go with the Canon R and the Canon RF are fantastic. Some of the best lenses that they probably ever produced are coming out right now. And so, I mean, you get amazing quality lenses with this. Really unbelievable. Then it's lightweight. For the same weight of the Canon M50, you're getting that on this full frame camera. And that's, of course, the last thing, is that it is full frame. Who else does a full frame camera at the same weight of this camera, like that I'm doing it off of right now, being the Canon M50? So those are some of the positives when it comes to, you know, what the Canon RP can offer, and just a lot of the reasons why I honestly want it. Simply for the USB-C charging, simply for the just the clean HDMI out, straight out of camera, don't have to do any kind of hacks or anything like that. USB-C, so we potentially will have some more just like possibilities that can come through USB-C. And so all kinds of stuff, you know, so I'm looking forward to see how they can continue to develop this camera, but it ain't all sugar and spice, everything nice, okay? It's got some challenges. So let's jump into the negatives. Canon RP negatives. So yeah, you get 4K video, but there is a 1.7 times crop, which means it's going to go from a wider screen or field of view to a smaller one. So essentially, if you have all of this, let's say it's the full image, it'll come down to something that's just like this. So let me move my other hand in the frame. So if this was the full thing, when it crops in, it's just going to come in real close. So you're only going to get part of the image of what you previously had in 1080p. So that's the kind of stuff when it says a crop. it's basically going from that full image and it's coming down into a much smaller area of what the sensor would cover. So you're not going to get as much. Then with the 4K video, there's no autofocus. So the same way I just put the lens cap up to the camera, blocking my face, the camera focused on it, even though I'm live streaming, you can't do that with this camera at all. It has no, well, I won't say no focus ability. It's a contrast autofocus. So it's going to hunt, which means, because not a lot of people explain this, I guess, great. They'll say, well, it's faster. It doesn't matter if it's faster if it's always missing. So you can quickly get to the wrong place. So what happens with contrast, wrong hand, let me do it over here so you can actually see it. So with dual pixel autofocus, it just kind of lines stuff up and it stays in focus. And that's how this is happening right now, dual pixel autofocus. But contrast autofocus says, well, oh, let me go behind you and then in front of you, and I'm going to analyze this whole room. Oh, and then stop on the face. So you see it go and pull different things in and out of focus, and then it gets to whatever you want, but nobody stays still. I'm not even sitting still. I can sit forwards and backwards. And at some point, maybe the lens will say, where'd you go, or what happened, or whatever. It happens. Not every camera is perfect autofocus, but it's pretty darn good these days. But with contrast autofocus in 4K, it'll go back and forth. So if I move, it's like, oh, she moved. All right, everybody, reset. And it'll do that thing again. And so it's always doing that. So that's the thing. So when you're looking at the negatives, you also have 1080p 24 frames per second removed. So that means, unfortunately, that the frame rate that most movies are shot in, or just about all movies, that most cinematic footage is rendered in, is very much so attributed to the 24 frames per second. That's not even an option on this camera, like, at all. So you don't get 1080p, which is full HD video, like everything has. You don't get the 1080p at all with an EFS lens adapted. So what I mean by EFS lens, this is another, actually I can do this. So this is an EFS lens. Oh, block my face. All right, so there we go. So this is an EFS lens. This lens can be adapted to the Canon M50, and outside of whatever regular crop the camera does, that's what you have to deal with on the lens. But again, we'll talk about the Speedbooster and how that helps with that. But if I put this same lens on the RP, it's just going to say, oh, turn 1080p off. Everybody leave. Clock out right now. Go home, everybody. That's what happens. You don't get 1080p at all. At all. So what happens is you actually go to 720p, which is when you ever in life first heard of HD, it was at 720p. I don't even know when that was. 99 to the 2000s. Who knows? So no slow motion video capability at all. So, you know, you've heard about the 720p or 1080p, 120 frames per second. It has nothing like that. And no budget-friendly lens options for beginners. So pay the cost to be the boss with this particular camera, unfortunately. And all those lenses that are incredible cost as much as or more of the camera, as much as the camera. So you're looking at over potentially $1,500 to maybe $3,000 per lens. So a simple lens like this lens, I get it cheap anywhere, $20. Put it on the camera, boop. But, you know, if I did that on the RP, you know, I'm losing all kind of features. I can't even record in full HD video. I don't have 1080p 24. And it's a crop if I wanted to do 4K. So a lot of bad things going on with that, and it's just awful. So a lot of issues with that. Now, when it comes to just about anything else with the camera, it's okay if you're doing photos. I'm not going to cover any photo-based info on this particular stream, but, you know, because it's video-based. But at the same time, I think if you're going to do photos, it'll be fine. But this is specifically on the stuff dealing with video. So let's get to some of the positives about the Canon M50. So it has 4K video, 24 frames per second. So that's cool. You don't get any autofocus in 4K, but that's okay. But we'll cover that a little bit more. But I just want you to know that. So you do get 4K 24 frames per second. You get 1080p, so the full HD video, no matter what lens you're using, 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 24 frames per second. Now, it does have some slow motion, but of course, Canon being Canon, they cropped it down and crippled it, kicked it in the leg, and didn't pick it for kickball. So you get 720p, 120 frames per second in slow-mo is available. It is a very small and light body. In fact, just today I bought a second Canon M50 because it was going to be between the RP and the M50. So the same decisions that you may be going through is the same ones that I made. And I got this for a steal of a deal, $300, body and lens. Don't discount your local people that are trying to get rid of these, and you'll see a lot of these come up for sale. So if you decide to get one, look local. You'll see a lot show up in like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. So quick tip for you there. You're welcome. And so that's the thing, a small and light body when it comes to the Canon M50, and it's cheap. So anywhere from $570 to $699. You can find this used or brand new. You can find it cheaper than, you can find it in the $400 range actually on eBay. Just make sure you're being careful about sales and all that stuff. And then you can adapt EF and EFS lenses. So it's good to go. And there is a clean HDMI hack available, and yes, it actually does count even though it's not natively on the camera. So it's a thing, and I'm keeping it there. I'm not taking it down. So Canon M50 ain't perfect either though. So when you go over, look at the negatives, a total of 2.56 crop in 4K. So it's going to condense down even worse than what the RP will. No headphone jack, no clean HDMI straight out of the camera. You got to do a hack, and then or just basically use some other method. No internal battery charging, so you can't just pop the LPE12 battery, which is a misconception that I've heard in some reviews, is that it takes, the RP and the M50 takes the same battery. They actually don't. It's an LPE12 in the M50 and an LPE17 in the RP. The E17s are what's available in your Canon M5s, M6s, and stuff like that. And it's a small native lens lineup, so it's only a few lenses that are really available in that. So like I said, it's not perfect, but at the same time it's okay. Like I said, it's just not great. It's okay, but it's not great. So that's why you would want to adapt other lenses, like a 35mm lens, like another kit lens for zoom, better zoom ranges, stuff like that. So Canon has a huge lineup in total, but for the ones that can go straight on the camera, like this one will, no adapters needed or nothing like that. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So that's what it is. Like I said, M50 ain't perfect neither. So you got all of these negatives, and before I move on, do not let the 2.56 crop get to you. It's a thing, but there is a way to mitigate that. So let's get into what makes the difference if you have a Viltrox Speedbooster. This is the hot sauce on the catfish at the fish fry. This is the hot sauce. This is the Louisiana hot sauce, so to be more specific. So when you use the Speedbooster, and I did see a question, so I definitely will answer that here. When you see the Speedbooster added to this camera, these are the things that become available. That 4K crop that you would get, that's 2.56 in when you adapt the lenses and all that, turns into 1.8 times crop. So it decreases. And then it adds more light to the sensor, so your images get brighter and all kinds of stuff, which improves the f-stop, or basically like if you hear reviewers say it's a fast lens or a slow lens or whatever, then that's what they're talking about, or the aperture it's commonly known as well. You can adapt EF lens options. So the Speedbooster, it can only fit the EF or the full frame camera lenses and all that stuff, those sizes. So that's a thing. And then it has, if you look on this Speedbooster that's under the M50, it has a little USB micro charger, not charger, but port on there. You can use that to update the firmware as they continue to make improvements and all kinds of stuff, continue to dial in autofocus or anything else. I haven't seen a difference really using the Speedbooster or anything, but just to make sure that it's in pristine condition, there are updates that have come as people notice, hey, can you try to make this better, or so forth. So it's updatable, and the Speedbooster is cheap. At launch, it came out at $156. So over time, as you know, you see some come up in the used market, they'll probably be cheaper than that. But $150 to drastically improve your camera, and that is incredible. But basically, what the Speedbooster is it makes it, one, your lenses compatible with those that don't natively fit on the camera. So this lens was not built for the Canon M50, but because of an adapter with a little glass element in it, not only can I fit it to the Canon M50, but I can also increase the magnification, like I said, and get lower crop factor. I can increase the ISO performance and how bright images are and all kinds of stuff. Makes me be able to get wonderful, delicious background blur, just like you're seeing right now. So honestly, it's just not worth it for the RP at the end of the day. I see a lot of reviewers sugarcoating stuff. It honestly is not worth it. And if it was, you know, then I'd tell you. But if you're going to do video, it's just not worth it. But let's get into 3 reasons why the Canon M50 with the Speedbooster is actually way better than the RP, at least for video. So number 1, you get more video specs or specifications with any lens that you use. So no matter what lens I add to the camera, whether it's lenses that can fit the 70D and the 80D and those cameras, or 6D Mark II and the 5D Mark, like all those cameras, all the DSLR cameras, you can put any of those lenses onto your camera and get away with it. They also have the one that I've been using on this lens. This is just a $40 one. So let's say, well, I'm okay if it zooms in a little or whatever. Then this is one, as you can see, I can wiggle my finger in between there. This is just a regular adapter. It doesn't have that glass element in there. So what happens is I'm able to put literally any lens from Canon, minus the RF lenses, on there. And when it has that glass element in there, you're getting all those benefits that I just talked about. And this is only $40. This one is by Viltrox. I've been using them for a few years now. So even though Canon has their own, you're not going to see much of a difference. And I honestly doubt that if Canon releases their own Speedbooster to do exactly what I'm talking about, it won't probably be as good. So that's the thing with that. So second reason why you need to get the M50 with the Speedbooster versus the RP, it's cheap. It's a cheaper camera that offers basically the same thing. The same things essentially for less. And if you're just getting into video, you haven't bought lights yet, you haven't got a tripod yet, you haven't bought extra batteries or extra memory cards yet, you don't have a USB microphone so you can do live streaming because you can't get audio directly out. I guess that's another thing between the two. You can't get audio directly out of the M50, but I think, I can't confirm it, but if you know and you're watching this later, you can definitely let me know in the comments down below. But, you know, I can't get audio through the camera. Maybe on the RP you can. At this point in time, nobody has tested it yet, but I believe from the spec sheet, it's possible. But I don't know how that's going to work. So let me know down below if you know, and I'll update this video with the post down below once I figure that out. So that's the thing. But you haven't spent money to invest in the other core elements of things that make video work. You haven't invested in lapel microphones or whatever, even though you can get one for like 12 bucks, 30 bucks, $60 if you bougie. But at the same time, you haven't spent money on the regular stuff. So $1,300 versus, hey, today, $300. Not gonna lie, I had a little smell of Mary Jane, had to wipe it down, but you know, it is what it is. That's the beauty of Craigslist, the deal and the steal. It is what it is. But brand new camera, guys, the camera is so new. They hadn't even set the time right. It's like going to your grandma's house back in the day, and you just see that VHS player flashing the time of whatever time for when she first plugged it in, or the last thunderstorm. You go in the kitchen. Poor little stove. Clock ain't never been set. It was that new. Nothing had been set on the camera. Everything was still in full auto. Brand new camera. Only missing the lens caps. That's it. So don't sleep on the M50. I didn't like it initially, but don't sleep on it. Final thing, and then we're going to wrap this, well, one more thing. One before the one more thing. So we have the last third thing. Like I said, it's basically the same thing, but here's where it makes a difference with the lens stuff. And I want to explain this because if you are considering these cameras, I'm not talking about if you're, considering other cameras for real. Of course, there are better cameras out there, but if you want these two cameras or you're deciding between these two, it makes a difference. So I'm not talking about, Sony, because Sony crushes both of them with its pinky toe. I'm just talking about these two, okay? So if you want full frame features, because sometimes that allure and all of them talking about it, all the reviewers and all that, makes you think like, dag, am I really missing out? Is something wrong? Should I get full frame? It's really not that big of a deal for video. I mean, you get some benefits, but from what I'm talking about, these two cameras, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of people don't understand how the crop factor works with the Speedbooster and this camera, so I want to break that down real quick. Let's say you have a lens that's 24 millimeters, and we're going to use the M50 and the Speedbooster. That lens times the 2.56 crop that would be in 4K, multiplied by the 0.71 magnification thing that the Speedbooster has with the glass element, makes that lens equivalent to a 43 millimeter lens. So a reason why I'm saying it's equivalent to a number or size of a lens is because with full frame, when you see 24 millimeter lens built for that camera, you put that 24 millimeter lens on the camera, it's just 24 millimeters. When you start adapting lenses, then you start to see it kind of zoom in or punch in a little bit more. The Viltrox Speedbooster brings it back out. So that's the difference. When you're looking at the RP, which is a full frame camera, it has a 1.7 times crop in 4K. So that same 24 millimeter lens with the 1.7 times crop is going to be equivalent to a 40 millimeter lens. So does it really matter about those 3 little millimeters? Does it really make that big of a deal? 3 millimeters. Could you even tell the difference between 3 millimeters, or would you think somebody just moved the camera? So it's just like, I think sometimes in the YouTube universe, we get too caught up in simple stuff. We get too caught up in stuff that really don't matter. And when you watch enough reviews, you could have the best pair of shoes that you have been professing to the hills for the last 5 years, watch 3 YouTube videos on it where they give it a bad review, and you're like, man, I ain't like those shoes, no way. So you got to take into consideration the stuff that you're looking at. What point of view is somebody talking about the stuff that they're doing? I don't consider myself a filmmaker, but at the same time, I do consider myself a professional content creator for video, or a videographer. So I've done over 500 videos where I'm sitting down just like this. I'm hitting record. I'm pulling that file. I'm editing it. I'm uploading it. I've done that for my church. I've done that for clients. I've been paid thousands of dollars to do what I'm talking about, the kind of stuff that you can do with these simple cameras. So do you really care about those 3 millimeters? Is it even a full step forwards or backwards to make a difference? It's really not. So when I talk about it making the difference between the RP and the M50, these are like the core things. Like if you want a headphone jack and the USB-C internal charging, that's a thing. Now I did do a video, tested it out. You can use a battery bank and a dummy battery adapter with the M50, and I'll link that up above if you want to check that out. But it's like even though, like I said, it's a hack, so I can get full autofocus abilities, so I can get stream for as long as I want to. We've been streaming now, 30 minutes? I can stream for as long as I want to, and I don't have to worry about it. Look at some of my other streams recently, an hour or over, and you didn't see the screen go to sleep. Look at that from before. You'll find all kind of stuff. So there's a way around the little stuff that the M50 has, or issues that it has. But at the same time, it's not enough to make that big of a difference. So those are my 3 reasons why I honestly believe the Canon M50 with the Speedbooster, even without the Speedbooster just helps fix some stuff. But even if you got this $40 adapter, and I'll put links to both down below. I'm not going to put a link to the RP down below because unfortunately I'm not recommending it. You know, not for a beginner, which they're trying to push this on as. I don't recommend that camera. It's too much money for too little specs when it comes to video, especially when there's a cheaper option that's way better and more bang for your buck. Do what you want to do. You can order it still if you want, but I'm only going to list the M50, the Viltrox Speedbooster, and then the regular Speedbooster down in the description below. So you can order through those through my affiliate link if you feel so inclined. But I want to hop over to the chat and I want to answer any quick questions before we wrap up tonight's stream. But I wanted to make sure that final video that I'm going to do on the RP, it's just not worth it. Canon is not even known for updating their firmware to make the video features or just the camera features better at all. They talked about doing some stuff with the R that still hasn't come to fruition. So needless to say, my faith in them doing that is not been strong, or it has been proven wrong. So I don't see Canon doing a whole bunch to make it even better at all. Because if that was the case, they could change some stuff in the M50. It has the same brand new sensor and processor that they have been talking about. So take a couple quick minutes here and go through some questions that you guys may be having in regards to tonight's stream. So let's see here. So alrighty. So Dare to Dream School saying no slow motion. Yeah, you can slow 1080p 60 down a little bit and get some, fairly decent slow motion video. But for the most part, you're not going to get that super overemphasized look that you would see, like everybody talks about Peter McKinnon or whatever. Like when you see him doing slow motion, he's really slowing the video down. And that only is possible, honestly, at the higher speeds. You can get some slow motion for simple stuff, but it's not going to be as dramatic as maybe you may want it to be. And if you slow it down anymore, it doesn't quite look right. And a quick question, or concern rather, people, if 1080p is your thing, 30 frames per second, you're cool with that. Cool, I'm shooting in 30 frames per second right now. But if you think you're going to put a 30 frames per second video in a 24 frames per second, like you're going to edit it and still make it 24, and it's just like you'll get around it, you will look very choppy and it will look weird. If you do that, you let's just say you don't want to do that. So, and it's not just like me being safe or whatever. And it's like, well, why can you do 60 or 120 frames per second? Well, it's because it can be condensed down into 24 or 30 frames per second timeline. 30 frames per second into 24 frames per second isn't going to work. If it was lined up like tick marks or whatever, this is what you're looking at if you try to put a 30 frames per second video on a 24 frames per second timeline. It's not going to line up. But if you do 60 or 120 frames per second, then it will line up, so it will continue to look right. So that's why you want to do that. So scroll down here. Y'all crack me up with these names. Norizer X, did I say it right? It says, hi, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So pumped that you're here. You said, I think I would rather get the Fuji. Don't worry about it. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want either of these cameras, don't worry about it. You don't have to, worry about it. Craigslist, sometimes you never know, especially buying expensive items. Yeah, I'm very surprised that I saw it. Said, what are you making this video on? I'm currently using Ecamm Live with the Canon M50, the Viltrox Speedbooster, and a 35mm lens by Yongnuo. So that's what I am using. Rob Fuzz says, great stream as always. Thanks so much. I appreciate you being here. And Dare to Dream School saying, what a letdown. I feel your pain. He said, but thanks for speaking the truth. That's all you're ever going to get here. So Rob Fuzz saying, I guess I'll pass. And I did too, which is why I went ahead and got the M50. I may have bought it anyway just for the price. But I seriously was going to buy this camera. Not playing. I put it in my cart today to pre-order it. And I'm like, let me go through, because I have my own list, checks and balances. I go through my own list of like, what is it good for? Just because it has USB-C charging, just because it's natively full frame, you would get access to the better lenses, which is a bonus. But they don't have any budget-friendly lens, like all the stuff we talked about. I will miss the headphone and the USB-C charge because I was waiting for a camera. I just almost didn't care. Just let it be a Canon camera and have those things, and it has those things, but it's like, well, crap, y'all are just cutting toes off this thing left and right. What am I supposed to do? You don't give me a pair of shoes when you know you've cut me down to my heels. Like, let's just be real here. Like I said, I wanted to do the stream just to be upfront, and not everybody's going to agree with that, and I respect your opinion. If you have concerns or any reasons why you disagree, I'd love to hear them down below, because I would love to see Canon, like, show me why this is a good camera. I've not been convinced yet. Jared Poland did the best review yet, but I'm not convinced yet. If you want this camera, go ahead and buy it by all means. Get what you want, but I wanted to at least put the facts out there. From the videos that have been out there right now, they're sugarcoating a lot of stuff, and I just, like, let me know. Let me be real about what's what. Tell me the good and the bad, and let me honestly make the decision. Don't sway me one way or the other. So if you want the RP, by all means, get the RP, but know what you're getting into, and that's the crux of the conversation tonight. So, Dare to Dream School, you're saying, yeah, I shot with a camera and did 800 frames per second. Whoo! And it was glorious. That must have been a cinema line camera. My goodness. So you said, YouTube Space LA let me borrow it. I wish I could keep it. Oh, my goodness. Man, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, Canon 90D rumors, anything? Not that I know of. I love doing the rumor videos, so I'll keep those going. If I hear anything great, I look forward to it. So, you said you bought a second M50, and I did. $300. Didn't even have... Oh, I'm streaming on the M50 right now, and I got this is my second one now. So, we'll have to find a name for this little guy. They didn't even have the menu set. Everything full auto. Full auto. So, I'm just blown away. So... Oh my goodness, the official Think Media has arrived. What's going on? Said, do we know if the HD is a full readout? It absolutely is not. Unfortunately, it is just like it. Well, if you use a Canon RF lens, if you use a native lens built for the camera on the RP, you will get 1080p full sensor readout. You won't have any crops or anything like that, but you're only going to be able to do that in 1080p, 60 and 30 frames per second. So we talked about some of those positives, and so like these are most of them here, some of the most important ones for video. But yeah, so 1080p, 30 and 60 frames per second, and it won't have any issues whatsoever as far as that is concerned. So Dare to Dream School, and then we're gonna wrap this up because I went over. I tried so hard. I was like, okay, 12, 15 minutes doesn't happen. I got to work on that. So Dare to Dream School, he's saying, oh, I want to test this stream with my new music note thingy on my other channel. Be right back. Okay. Hope it works. So Think Media is saying the value prop full frame at $1,300. Good for photos. I agree. I absolutely agree. Photo oriented people have nothing to worry about. They did not get shortchanged, but when it comes to video, and that's what I wish they kind of would have led with. If you lead with this is a photo-based camera that has some video features, then I'm already turning my brain off to that camera. Like Panasonic's G9, they said, hey, this is a photo-based camera, but then they hashtag kind of lied because it has incredible video specs, but they're just letting you know, hey, the photo is going to outweigh the video. So if you're looking at this from a video standpoint, know that this wasn't our primary agenda when we were creating this camera. I respect that. But not knowing what this camera is going to be, because Canons have been equally good across the board, I'm just like, well, crap, like, is this for me or is it not? Because I don't have a problem investing that kind of money if I know what I'm getting into. And I just wish that, you know, just lead with that it's for photos or it's better for photos. Like Jared Poland, he did a great job of mentioning that, but just really dig into the video so I fully know not really for me or not going to give me everything that I want. If you're going to do 1080p 30 or 60 frames per second, use native lenses and you're cool with that, you're good to go. Or just use full frame Canon lenses with the adapters, because it does come with the battery grip and the adapter. You're good to go. You'll have a better experience. But the camera is still so new at the time that I'm recording this video, so whether you're watching this live or in the replay, any updates, I'll link down below in a pinned post. But that's all we're going to do there. So jump into some of the last couple questions and comments, and we're going to land the plane, as they say. So I paid over $3,000 for my full frame Nikon. I'm so sorry for your loss. I wouldn't touch Nikon with a 10-foot pole. I was just kidding, Rob. Hashtag partially. But I don't like Nikon personally. We haven't gone on many dates together. Matter of fact, I didn't even give Nikon the time of day. It just felt like your grandfather's camera company. Canon was what all the bloggers had and everybody I looked up to. And honestly, Think Media's here in the chat. So shout out to Sean, my brother from another mother. I told y'all once before, I'll punch you in the face for Sean, and I mean that. So, it's just like Nikon just did not seem appealing to me for what I wanted. But Z6 is a solid camera. So I'm sure if you invested that much money, you got your money worth for sure. So said the RP is weirdly crippled. Yes, it is. You get 7 fingers. Wonderful, wonderful lens lineup. It's almost like they took the screen off and said just viewfinder only, no screen. We're going to cover up half the lens with a Sharpie, and the other half of the center is going to be blocked with a magic marker. So have fun with that. Create. Be the revolution. That's that's how I felt they did with this camera. It is very weirdly crippled, and I just do not get it. Like, I would have rather you just said it doesn't have video at all. Leica produces cameras that I think for some of them that don't have video at all. They don't even have a screen. Like, it's just straight old school, somewhat digitized or something. And people buy that stuff like hotcakes because at least you know what you're getting. If you're going to cripple the camera, don't even cripple it. Just make it whole in one area. That's fine, because at least I know on some end or some aspect, you're going to make one whole for us. And the photo people can sit still. And I think that's the dynamics. People complain about you YouTubers. Nobody wants a front-facing screen so that they can vlog all day. I don't vlog that much, but I am sitting in front of a camera, and I would like to know if only my ear is in focus. If I'm creating, I've talked about this at the beginning of the stream, I've created over 500 videos, shot, edited, recorded, hired, done for myself, courses, Facebook Lives, Facebook video, all of it by myself. I can't do that, or I'm doing it ineffectively and just completely inefficiently, or ineffectively and inefficiently, when I cannot see myself and I'm messing up because I already have a lot of content to create. And I think that most people take YouTubers as a joke. We're on YouTube because we're doing something. We are business owners. We are entrepreneurs. We're home-based business entrepreneurs. We're moms. We're dads. We're cousins. we're internet cousins. We're all kinds of different people that have nonprofits. I watch one channel, nothing but how to better fund your nonprofit. She ain't a YouTuber. She's a nonprofit finance specialist. So we're on the platform for exposure, not to be a YouTuber, at least not all of us. So if we care about video, it's a reason why. So let's see here. You said the $300. Yeah, it's crazy. So why would you buy 2 of the same camera? Okay. Gosh, you guys are you're making me so happy with the chat. I just want to let you know I appreciate you. So 2 of the same camera. Good question. Because when I did the Christmas program at my church this December, it was only me that could do video. We were stretched so thin staff-wise. I had 2 Panasonic cameras and 2 Canon cameras. The color science is different. I didn't have enough time to make them mirror or match each other better. So if I'm doing 2 different types of cameras, I need to make sure the color and the view and the way it looks is consistent. And furthermore, because you can line that up easy enough, dial those settings in. That was my fault. But at the same time, when I went from a Panasonic camera and a Canon camera and I had both, then I'm dealing with the issue of that menu setting change, like get my brain to change over, and then dealing with Canon stuff okay, where's this at? I don't need that. When I'm needing to move, I need to move very quickly. And I'm doing it by myself most of the time. I need to be as efficient as possible. It only made sense to get another Canon camera to have the same menu system, same options, same lenses, because you don't want to carry different lenses, different batteries, if you can avoid it. So that'll help a whole bunch. And I know I'm looking at the same exact settings, same setup for the same cameras. So let's see here. So Think Media saying, but I have a 6D Mark II, and compared to it, the RP is quote unquote better. Reason why I would say any other time a mirrorless camera is better than a DSLR is because you get one, better updated sensor processing and all that stuff. Battery has been made more efficient, so even though it may be using a already existing battery, it can make it more efficient, like we saw with Sony's A6500, their whole A whatever lineup, 6000 series. You see it better on the 6400 versus the 6000 or 6300 because that processor can pull a little bit more out of it with the sensor and all that's made for it. So can it be said in some areas that the 6D Mark II is, a lower camera than the RP? For sure. But at the same time, if the 6D Mark II was, again, a camera that should have had 4K and didn't, and so they kind of minimize settings on that, you get more bang for your buck 1080p wise. You can put any lens that you want on that camera. You don't have to worry about it being crippled. You don't have to worry about dropping down to 720p. You put that 10-18 lens that you love on there, you're going now, if you were on the RP, that 1080, oh yeah, I'm going to be wide angle. No, you're not. You're going down to 720. Well, you will, but you'll be 720p. You want to put that 10-18 because you know why? That's an EFS lens. You can't use that. So I think Canon is trying to edge out certain things. Like maybe they want to get rid of the M50 lineup. I've heard that. That's not been seen yet, but it's something to stay wary of. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, everybody use that 10-18. We're not finna let them get hand over fist over us. Crop that thing down. So in some ways, the 6D Mark II is better because at least it's a 1080p camera. At least you're getting dual pixel autofocus out of every video feature and setting on there versus like, okay, crap, I forgot that this was going to turn to this. And you get 1080p, 24 frames per second. In my book, the 6D Mark II for the video specifications, when it pertains to 1080p, because 4K, you're going to wind up doing manual anyway, it just doesn't make that big of a difference. I have the DJI Osmo Pocket if I want better 4K 60 or 120 frames per second or something like that. So just my thoughts on that. And Sean, you saying we actually shoot 30 frames per second, so you wouldn't miss the 24, but it's such a strange cripple. I agree. If you're doing the 1080p, 30 frames per second, you're not missing anything. But if you ever have any EFS lenses that maybe you wanted to use, you're going to 720p. You say, okay, I can let those go. I'm okay. I want to invest in new and better lenses. Okay, great. They're big and heavy and expensive right now. So look at that roadmap and see just how long you may be waiting. Then you like that slow motion, you still are going to have to carry around your Panasonic GH5 to get 4K 60. Because the 4K is only really pretty good in manual focus. Now, when it comes to that, there is a hack that I think should work that I was able to find on the M50. I'll link that up above after the stream is over. That when you are basically using the app, you can focus on yourself. It's like a half autofocus, half manual focus type option. So with the app, you can nail focus on whatever you touch on your phone and it'll stay there. It won't flicker back and forth. So there's ways to get around it, but if you're creating content like you need to, you already have to account for, I'm tired, I didn't get sleep, this happened, I suffer from endometriosis, I can't sit for extended period of times for like a long time on top of a work day or whatever. Like, so I'm taking all that stuff into account, just everyday life, on top of, I'm tired. It's like, if that's a thing, I got all those factors. Now I got to worry about what the camera can and can't do. I just don't want to play that game. I'll wait. I'd rather buy a better Canon branded camera than to just kind of give them the RP money, knowing within 6 to 8 months, maybe they come out with something better. Even in a year's time, and I'm just waiting to get rid of this camera. But I think for 1080p 30, you'd be looking at a doable and usable type deal. So, okay, guys, we're getting ready to wrap it up, bring it home. So of course, here we go. Got to throw this in my face. Canon would never let me be a part of their affiliate program or nothing. I talk about them evenly and equally to a chop in the throat. So, but you said I'm reaching out to Canon to get a loaner. I look forward to it. I'm surprised they didn't invite you guys or somebody from the team or something so that you guys could get access to, go down there. They sent a lot of photographers, maybe because it's a photo-based camera. I don't know. But I wish they had sent you down there. I would have loved to see one of your videos come out because it would have been video oriented. And I know you're easy to just lay out what it is and what it isn't, and then be able to just say, hey, for video people, this is what you're looking at, and so forth. And then maybe my video wouldn't rank. And so, so that's a thing. So, all right, guys. So, okay, I'm trying not to just jump to Sean's stuff, but my brother from another mother is here. I value you all equally. Okay. First of all, Grow with Video Live is coming up. This is, he don't even know I'm doing this. Grow with Video Live is coming up. Okay. If video is important to you, if you plan on taking things to the next level when it comes to getting your business visible, marketing what you're doing on YouTube and just online, period, make sure you keep your eyes open and your lens focused on Grow with Video Live. Make sure you subscribe to Think Media for further details, okay? I'm saying that because I went for myself, and I know what impact it's had on me. So when that comes available, go. You'll see me there. Maybe we can hang out, have white on white cake and coffee together. It's the bee's knees. So, loaners are tough in the beginning. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, you said you're killing it. Inspired by your hustle. Thanks so much, Sean. I would have never bought my first Canon camera if it wasn't for you. He said I had Nikon from the 7th grade to 8th grade. Now I'm in 7th grade, yeah, and now I'm 48. One day when you grow up, you might just get, a Panasonic camera or Fuji. No, I'm just kidding. So, hey, it is what it is. And Rob saying, I'm new to the channel. Hey, man, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we connected. So awesome. Okay, guys, I'm wrapping it up. Landing the plane. Plane is landing. Not crashing tonight. We are landing the plane. If I did not get to your comment, if I did not get to concern that maybe you have, or you think of one later, I will put the time codes down below so when I get the core content and then Q&A, because we did totally run over. I said I wasn't going to do an hour stream. It's 5 minutes short of an hour. I did not do what I set out to do, but that's why we have goals. You keep trying. We're going to do some more. I'm starting a new series on the channel called 3 Reasons Why. They won't all be this long. I will get to my goal of like 12 minutes. So you will know 12 minutes is what you got. So 3 Reasons Why is a new series that I'm coming to the channel with, and some will be, uploaded videos like normal, but I'm going to be giving you like 3 reasons why, because I like tonight's format and I want to do this some more. So 3 reasons why you should or shouldn't do this, or, is this program better than that program? Is this coffee mug better than this coffee mug? But things that are pertinent to home-based business entrepreneurs. Now, I know that before I wrap tonight's stream up that I covered, the different lens sizes and all of that. If you guys know, I did a Canon M50 for video series, specifically for video. Sorry, photographers, I don't care about photos. So for video, I came up with a guide, and there's a 30-part video series that accompanies that, free here on YouTube. Check that out up in the link up above. And included with that, like I talked about the different options when it comes to the lenses. And let me see here. I showed it somewhere. But anyway, I talked about where you can compare the lenses. We went through the stream. You've already seen it by now. But comparing them to, like, what's the difference between the crop factors and all that. It includes a lens guide with it as an additional bonus. So it's like a calculator. You put whatever lens size you want into that cell. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Open it in Google Max, whatever, Google Docs is what I use. So you input that number in there. You say, hey, I'm thinking about an 18 to 55 millimeter. What is that going to look like if I just only put that on the Canon M50, no speed booster? That's free, and that's included with you. I also have those calculations for if you get the speed booster. What's that looking like? Takes all the headache and all the work out. So links down below and in the description, and I'll put it on this handy dandy live end card. Did you like that transition? I know you did. Don't hate. Hit that thumbs up button. Crush it. Guys, I know that you can do this. Get the camera that you want. Invest in it. Whether it's the RP or the M50, doesn't matter. M50, it doesn't matter. Just start getting your business visible so that you can start creating content, sharing your message, and start changing people's lives. But guys, as always, live with passion. And I will see you on the next video.